Hey gang, Jan Anderson here, voice actor living and working in Salem, Oregon. I know it's been a long time since I made a video. Sorry about that. We moved from California to Oregon, doing home renovations. Just kind of got out of the habit of it. But I've got a ton of ideas. Well, not a ton, but I've got a good handful of ideas for new videos coming up. And if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see from me that fits within the context of what I do in this channel, leave a comment down below and I'll see if I can accommodate. Okay. Well, today, I wanted to talk about using a high pass filter on your voiceover recordings if you need it. I see so many people using stacks of effects on their recordings, whether they need them or not. And if you the message with that is, if you don't need it, don't use it. That's just a little sidebar. But in many cases, using a high pass filter can be really beneficial when you've got some low frequency rumble, a lot of people refer it to, that's in your recording, whether it's coming from within your house or most of the time from outside of your house. And it could be, it could be anything from traffic noise from, a few streets over, like a busy street where there's just this constant kind of, and many times this noise isn't really audible, but you can see it in the playback meter of your recording. That's why it's really important to not only use your ears, but look at that meter, because it can tell you things that very important information, not only your recording level, but also what might be in the background of your recording, influencing your room tone and your noise floor. Okay. So I'm going to show you how I use a high pass filter in Audacity to eliminate a lot of that kind of noise. Of course, general rule of thumb is when you're recording and there are various noises that you don't want in your recordings, try to mitigate it at the source of the noise. A lot of times it's household appliances like laundry or a dishwasher or even the heat and air conditioning. Turn them off. Sorry, but that's the best way to deal with it. Turn it off. Apologize to your housemates that they're going to have to suffer for a while you're recording. But, most of us have to do that, including me. Sorry, honey, you're going to either freeze or boil depending upon what time of the year it is. But anyway, getting back to using a high pass filter for low frequency rumble. I've got a sample of some audio. I'm a coach with UVT coaching, and I help a lot of people get their audio together, whether they're starting up from scratch or they have been, they just want a tune up of their audio. I help people get their raw audio together and to a point where it's pro sounding. And so we deal with this a lot within that session that I provide. And many times a high pass filter is ultimately the answer, because it's kind of the only way to get around or to deal with the noise, because they can't deal with it directly at the source. So let me share the screen. And I'm going to bring up my version of Audacity. Okay, here we go. So this is it. Let me expand this. This is just it's a 6-second spot, or a 6-second little clip here of their room tone. I'm not going to tell you who this was because I don't want them to feel weird about me using them as an example. But anyway, if you can see here, that you can already see that there's a little garbage right along the median line here, the median line. So let's see what that looks like in the playback mirror or meter right up here. See, it's kind of dancing around -48. Now that's, I mean, as far as room tone and noise floor goes, that's not great. I mean, what you really want to see is something more along the lines of -60 and below. Okay. So this is too high. So that's what I noticed. I couldn't really hear anything. It's not really that audible. I'm hearing some mouth noise or something else kind of clicking up front, but in the background, there is a little something there. Let's amplify this by, let's say, 20 decibels. Okay, now look at that waveform. So let's listen now. I'm not sure if this will come across on Zoom, but I can definitely hear something mechanical. It sounds like an electric motor running, I think. Hard to say, or it might just be some ambient noise. Whatever it is, we don't want that in there. So you might be asking, well, Jan, if it's not audible, here I'm going to unamplify it. Jan, if it's not audible, who cares? Yeah, I get it. But as soon as somebody starts messing with your audio, let me just stop pausing or stop sharing here. As soon as a producer starts to work on your audio and they start doing things like raising the amplitude or volume, or they start using things like compressors, which can heighten background noise to a point where they are more noticeable, well, then you've got problems. So this is just a good sort of basic cleanup step for when you have this kind of noise in the background. I'm fortunate. I don't have this kind of noise in my noise floor for the most part. Sometimes I will. And at those times, that's when I'll use the high pass filter. I won't use it all the time because I don't need it. Don't use effects that you don't need. Okay. So think of a high pass filter as being something that it treats the low frequencies. It's letting the higher frequencies pass. So imagine, here's my microphone. Imagine this is the spectrum of frequencies that are coming into my microphone. Okay. Imagine the high pass filter kind of coming up and acting as a block for these lower frequencies, just allowing these higher frequencies to pass. I know it's a silly example, but that's kind of what it's doing. It's kind of putting up a blockade to allow only the higher frequencies to pass. So you might be saying, well, how do I determine what frequencies I want to pass? Good question. Generally, you want to use a high pass filter at a point at which your voice is not affected by it. For most men, that is about 70 hertz and below, or that's where I set mine. I set mine at 70 hertz because my voice is not affected by a high pass filter set at 70 hertz. All the frequencies, all these lush, beautiful tones still come through. Sorry. For women or those with significantly higher voices, setting a high pass filter at like 90 or 100 hertz will work just fine. As a matter of fact, it might work out a little better because you can filter out some more of those frequencies that might be in the air from getting into your, what am I trying to say? You're editing it out. Of course, it's already there. You're editing it out with this effect. So let's get back to the screen sharing. Okay, so here's what we have. I have taken away the amplitude, so we're back at seeing something here at around minus 48 for the noise floor. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to come up here to Effect, come down here to High Pass Filter. And as you can see, I have mine set at 70 hertz. Okay, I will say that this was a guy who recorded this. So I recommended to him that he use a high pass filter set at 70 hertz so that it would not affect the sound of his voice. That way he can use this effect not just in those places where his voice is absent, but over the whole thing, over the whole track. So let me apply this. By the way, this right here, the roll off, I've got it set at 12 dB per octave, and there's a little drop down menu. So this is just kind of a medium setting. So I'm going to apply this. Take a look at what you can see here in the waveform after I apply this. See, everything has disappeared. Now, here's the real proof. Let's look at the playback meter. It's under 60 hertz, under minus 60 decibels. That's a beautiful thing. Now it's jumping up here a couple times because of those mouth clicks. I think he swallows at some point. So obviously that's other noise that would have to be eliminated, but all that low end rumble is gone. Now we have a noise floor that is under -60. That's a beautiful thing. So in the case of this particular person, if this noise was present all the time or much of the time, he would be very safe at using a high pass filter set at 70 hertz to eliminate, speaking of eliminate, spam risk, to eliminate that low-end rumble in his recording, and it won't affect the tone of his voice. Okay. Feel free to mess around with this. You can try eking it up to, say, 80 hertz or 90 hertz. You'll start to hear a difference in the tone of your voice when you listen to the playback. So just pick something that is lower than the tone of your voice, and you'll be in good shape. And that way you'll be able to get rid of that kind of noise very easily. There are tons of other noises that require different types of treatment to get rid of. But this is a good way, like I said, of getting rid of that low-end rumble. Okay? I hope you find that helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I'll answer when I can, if I can, etc. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. I've got another project coming up where I tackle a different kind of noise, and it's going to require more than just digital trickery. Okay? Ooh, what could it be? Oh, how enticing. All right, guys, take it easy. Bye.